This is Rural Today with Dominic George on Magic Talk.
We've been looking at so many aspects of this COVID-19 lockdown and what it means for different industries, the domino effect and so on. Well, one industry we haven't looked at is the honey industry. To that end, I'm joined now by the Chief Executive and founder of Egmont Honey in Taranaki, James Annabell. James, great to talk to you. Now, how is the honey industry faring during this lockdown?
Well, the honey industry, it's been no secret, has faced a few headwinds recently, particularly for some of the primary producers that are putting the stuff in drums, having a hard time selling it. Has been a bit of an oversupply, but this COVID-19 might be correcting some of that for us. We've had some pretty good sales coming through, and lucky enough to be classed as an essential business. So it's largely business as usual for us, supplying supermarkets and pharmacies and health chains, both domestically and globally. So we're having a reasonable run at the moment.
Which is good news because I imagine with this, particularly Manuka honey, of course everyone knows the health benefits of that, particularly when it comes to immunity. So I imagine it's flying off the shelves, is it, at the moment?
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, it's probably a combination of the fact that we're selling immunity, and then our table grade honey was probably benefited from some of the panic buying that's gone on.
Right, yeah.
You know, I mean, we're under no illusion that, the world is heading into recession and we're probably going to face some headwinds later. There could be people with, a year's supply of honey in their cupboards, the way some of that panic buying went. So, probably like the toilet paper manufacturers, it will hit us at some point. But for now, things are looking pretty good.
Because the Manuka honey, just before this pandemic struck, was quite an interesting one, wasn't it? Because it went through a bit of a rethink and a re-legislation of what was actually classed as Manuka honey.
That's right. So MPI defined what is a Manuka and came up with different classifications: a multifloral Manuka, a Manuka, and non-Manuka, essentially. And what that meant is there was a lot of people probably stretching what was Manuka honey prior to that. Which caused a sort of an increase in the price of non-Manuka honeys, bush, honeydew, all of that honey was being blended into big tanks and being called a Manuka honey. But when MPI defined what Manuka honey was, it basically ruled all of that honey out as a blending honey. So we see that as a good thing because we play sort of at the higher end of the market anyway. So it really cleaned up the industry from our point of view.
And now, I imagine that online is where you're doing all your business now, pretty much in terms of sales?
Yeah, well, I mean, we export to 20 countries, and I guess a good example of that is in the UK. So we sell into Holland and Barrett, and they've got a huge number of bricks and mortar stores, but it's their online sales that have really taken off. I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking to them, and through this whole sort of panic buying stage. It had eclipsed Black Friday by a huge multiple in terms of sales. So that gives you some indication of what sort of volumes they were selling. They had to put 2 jar limits on Manuka honey for a while. So online is definitely where I think they're seeing the big lift overseas.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, and what about locally as well? I mean, are you a big player in the New Zealand market or?
We are more in supermarkets, and obviously we sell a huge amount in the airport as well, the international airports, but that's all come to a screaming halt.
Yeah.
So for us, bricks and mortar, we're definitely seeing a huge uplift on our website, but we don't sell a huge amount through our website because we've got to maintain pretty high retail prices, so we don't annoy our standard retailers. So we've definitely seen an uplift, but online's probably not our major focus domestically. But supermarket, pharmacy, that kind of thing has seen huge uplift.
I guess another aspect, James, is in terms of the workforce. Now, I know that for a while, I mean, the tradition, I suppose, has been, sort of foreign workers and sort of seasonal people and that sort of thing. But I understand that obviously, given the conditions that we're facing at the moment, there'll be a bit of a shortage there.
Yeah, I mean, good beekeepers are always really hard to find, and hive health is such a huge part of what we do. Good hives make more honey, essentially, so we're always on the hunt for good beekeepers, and we've always got, we're advertising just about all year round for beekeepers, and have managed to recruit some really good ones recently, but it is really hard, and obviously a lot of Filipino beekeepers in the country. It's going to be very hard to recruit new beekeepers out of the Philippines in the coming months or years, however long this takes. So it's potentially an issue looking forward, that's for sure.
I guess local people could step in and fill the breach. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of people going to find themselves, if they haven't already, out of work in the next few while. So I guess there could be a chance there for people to, I don't know, find out what's involved and whether or not they'd be up for the challenge.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good industry to be in, and you're right. My phone's been ringing hot from all aspects. People looking for work in our factory, and beekeepers as well. So I think you're right. I think it's an opportunity for a lot more local people to potentially become beekeepers or learn to become beekeepers. So I think from that point of view, there will definitely be jobs available.
James Annabell with us, the Chief Executive of Egmont Honey up there in Taranaki. James, it's father and son operation, is it?
Yeah, so I lived in Hong Kong for a while, working for another honey company before I started Egmont Honey with my father. I actually bought him a beehive for Christmas one year and said, you better learn because I want to go with scale, and that was about 5-6 years ago. We're now 4,000 beehives, so we're scaled up quite quick, and we buy in a lot of honey from beekeepers all over New Zealand as well, and we trade about 1,000 tonne of honey a year at the moment, and growing year on year. So, but yeah, it's good having Toby, my father, running the beekeeping side of the operation, someone that you can fully trust. So. It's been a good story.
Now you, speaking of the good story, you were a professional footy player for a few years there, and then went off to Hong Kong, which is how you learned the honey trade, I guess.
Yeah, so I played in the ITN Cup here for a few years for Taranaki, and ended up in Hong Kong playing professional rugby, and by mistake fell into the industry. I met someone through a mutual friend that owned another big honey company, and I ended up heading up their sales team in Asia and knocking on a few doors, and that went really well. But I was always sort of entrepreneurial, so I decided I was going to have a crack at it myself, and that's gone pretty well over the last few years.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. So, what years did you play with the Taranaki side?
I think my first year would have been 2006 to 9, maybe.
Right.
I think 2009 I moved to Hong Kong, and moved back into New Zealand in 2014. So.
Oh yes, and you played again. Then, did you?
Or not when I came. I did have a little stint actually for Mid Canterbury for a season, which
yeah.
Again was another mistake. Well, not a mistake, but I caught up with the coach who I used to play for, and he asked me if I'd like a game because they had a couple of hookers injured, and I ended up playing the whole season for them. So, and that was pretty much my last sort of games. I'm happily retired now.
James Annabell, who is the Chief Executive of Egmont Honey in the Taranaki. Lovely to get a market update from you on the program, James. Much appreciated.
No problem at all. No problem.